Personally, as a reader or as a viewer of films, I love to cry. I love to be moved. No. No, I mean, I think London in particular in the 1990s, had a great kind of renaissance, and it really hadn't been like that since the 60s. But whereas the 60s was a time of where there was a great deal of politics around and a great deal of idealism, the 90s in London was almost like the 60s without the idealism. It was very selfish, very decadent and ostentatious, and it was very hard to live in London during that time and not be affected by this incredible sudden mood of confidence. London was fashionable for the first time since 1962, so it was an exciting time, and I may have stayed up past midnight once or twice, but mostly it's fiction. I mean, that's very kind of you to say. Fitzgerald is one of my favourite writers, and I for a long time have been obsessed with, not with Great Gatsby, though that's a beautiful book, but with Tender as the Night, which is my favourite novel. And it's simultaneously incredibly romantic and also very harsh and honest, and that's something I aspire to, really, that mixture of not incredible romance and lyricism, which is never sentimental. There's always an undercurrent of realism and cynicism there. So those are both, Gatsby and Tender as the Night, I think, are both great love stories, but not conventional or traditional. And the great achievement in Gatsby is it's a wonderful love story, but you never see the two characters alone together. You never see Daisy and Gatsby by themselves. There's always a narrator, or it's always events that have happened off the page. So, well, I wanted it's very hard to talk about the end. I wanted the last few pages to be incredibly joyous and uplifting, but the tone throughout the book, I think, is the best English word for it is bittersweet. I wanted to write something that was simultaneously incredibly funny, but also very touching, and ultimately, I hope, as I say, joyous. I didn't want to write a depressing book, but I did want to write something about how unexpected our lives can be, how our best intentions don't always work out, and the story doesn't always end quite as we would like. I always, it's interesting, I get a lot of letters about the end, and some people find it very sad, which I think is good. I personally, as a reader or as a viewer of films, I love to cry. I love to be moved. But I hope that that's combined with a certain joy and a kind of lightness. My previous two books and a lot of my scripts have been quite pure traditional comedies. And I love comedy, and I love romantic comedy. But I just wanted to write something more melancholy, something more ambiguous, something with more light shade. Especially as, I started writing the book in my 40s, and it's a little embarrassing as a 43-year-old man to just write lots of kind of lovely, light-hearted romance. Life isn't like that. So it felt like it was time to write something that was a mixture of light and dark.